Hey everyone, thanks for making your way over to my group's video progress report. I just want to spend the next 15 minutes going through our progress report and getting your feedback as well, and really wanting to get a gauge on where our peers think we're at along this process, and also to share with you the information that we have been gathering along the way concerning our topic of ageism. The first place I would like to start would be with defining the topic. Ageism is a process of prejudice or discrimination based off of someone's age. Ageism is about old people that are senile, rigid in thought and manner, old fashioned in morality and skills. Each year, an estimated 2 million elders are abused, exploited, or neglected. Social injustice of ageism is that society thinks that older adults with disabilities have no rights once they reach a certain age. Now, all of these things seem so skewed when we view them just reading them off of a slide, but it's very common within our society, and I personally believe that it isn't represented well within our media, and within society at large. I think also that Congress needs to do a better job at addressing these issues. We often commonly associate oppression with African Americans, gay, lesbian groups, and other groups that are just more talked about within the media, and there's more volatile expressions of injustice, and sometimes ageism kind of gets pushed to the back burner. But people that are older deserve all the same rights as us that are younger, and we're all going to be older adults at some point within our lifetime. So I think that it's very important that we fight for their rights, and we take this matter very seriously. The next slide that you guys can go ahead and skip over to is talking about the faces of oppression. And the first two that are addressed on the slide are exploitation and marginalization. Exploitation is referring to disabled elderly individuals are more likely to be exploited due to their vulnerability of being older. So workplace employers, old age home workers, they're all going to feel like they can take advantage and exploit these older people, maybe because they think that they're not going to even realize what's happening to them, or that they don't even really deserve to be alive. They've had a long life. These are some of the thought processes that people have that lead to them exploiting these older people. And I think it's very twisted. It's very disgusting that someone would think this way, and think that it's okay to exploit someone based off of their age. I personally I've witnessed an example of exploitation. I used to be a CNA at a nursing home, and I had heard about a woman that was in my nursing home who had been sexually abused by a male CNA caregiver. And when I heard about this story, it broke my heart. It broke my heart that someone would take advantage of someone, and do it because he thought he could get away with it because they were older. And once I learned about the situation, it really struck up a passion within myself to fight for those that are older, because I would never want this to be my parents or even myself. I think it's disgusting that someone thinks that they can take advantage of someone based off of their age. So moving forward, the next phase is marginalization. As people age, they may get laid off from work due to age discrimination and are often not able to find other positions because most of the companies are going to be hiring people that are younger. Technology has a huge impact on this, with the major advancements and leaps that our country has seen in far as technology. A lot of employers just assume the older people aren't going to be able to keep up with all of the changes. This is definitely a stereotype because there are lots of older people that know technology very well and are able to succeed in this type of environment. So this is just one way that some companies may marginalize this group of older adults. Um, Discrimination in the workplace affects individuals with physical disabilities and most at risk of being laid off. So if someone is trying to be hired and they're an older person and they have a disability, then that's going to be even more of a reason that employers are going to use that as an excuse to fire someone. Um, I think it's completely disrespectful and unethical that someone would lay someone off just because of reasons that these people can't even help. Um, I think companies definitely benefit from having older people within their companies because they are able to provide so much more that younger people aren't able to. The wisdom that they have, the expertise in their field, these are all things that you can't just get from a college degree. So I think it's very important to respect our elderly people that want to work and to uphold that and to value that. There's much to be learned from them, and I think it's very important to respect them and to give them the dignity that they deserve. So, moving forward, we're going to talk about violence. As older adults increase in age, so does the likelihood that they will have to rely on someone else for assistance with daily tasks. Increased vulnerability creates an increased risk for violence against the elderly. As I mentioned in my sad example before, this is something that is common with older adults who are completely reliant on someone else for their basic activities of daily living, for their finances, for everything. There are tons of ways that someone could exploit them or to exert violence over them. This can be emotional violence, physical violence, um, many different ways that this can be done, but it is very discouraging and sad to see when someone, whether it's a caregiver, a family member, a workplace employer, someone takes advantage of these people because they think they are incapable to comprehend what is going on. So I think that as social workers and going into this field, that we have such an obligation to fight for those that often can't fight for themselves. So I think that this is something that we really need to be aware of and to help those in our community that are potentially facing this. In the US alone, 1.2 million older adults are physically abused or neglected each year. So, as I mentioned, it could be abuse, it also could just be flat out neglect, not taking someone outside, not toileting, helping them to be toileted. There are many different examples of this. And in my workplace as well, I actually had shadowed at another nursing home facility and saw several people who had bed sores because they hadn't even been turned over in their bed for hours at a time. They didn't even have a caregiver come in and just turn them around. And so they had dime size just holes on their back. And just, it was so sad to see it was infected, all because that they hadn't been giving just basic care and necessity and just turning them, helping them to sit up, to maybe walk around if they're able to. So this was something that was very heartbreaking for me to see and also opened my eyes to the reality of the situation in our country. Another thing that I wanted to touch upon, and you guys can watch this video, is ageism around the world. This video highlights ageism from older adults in various countries across the world, and I think it's very important to see that this is not an issue that is solely in the US, but is also around the world. So I hope you guys take the next 2 minutes just to watch this video and to let it impact you and see what you think about it. I think it's very important to address this, as I said before, and to see how these people, they just want to be loved, they want to be respected, and they want to feel like they have source of identity and well-being. You know, they want to be cared for and they want to be respected within their communities. So I hope you take the next couple of minutes to look at this video. Moving on, we're going to talk about the purpose of this report. The purpose of identifying the social injustice of ageism, specifically in regards to elderly with disabilities, would be awareness, advocacy, and action. With defining the goal, we want to define the social injustice experienced by American elderly with disabilities. We want to determine which steps should be taken to increase the social justice for them. We want to inform the targeted population of the dangers of oppression and what resources are available to them. And we want to empower elderly with disabilities so they can work to enact change for themselves. I think this is very important as social workers to help equip those that are facing the oppression so that they can better fight for themselves. Because, we cannot be with them every second of every day. So it's very important that we give them the tools that they need to fight for themselves to the best of their abilities. Defining the action, the informational campaign, 2 members of our group are going to develop flyers, which will include information and tips on scans that typically target elderly populations. They will also provide information about elder abuse. Attached to the flyer will be resources available to the community to assist elderly individuals who have been victimized or would like to increase their social supports. Flyers will be handed out to the Brookdale Ocean Shores in Seattle, Washington, and at Genesis Healthcare in Nazareth Independent Living Home in Louisville, Kentucky. The letter writing campaign will write letters to Oregon legislators regarding the H.R. 885 Senior Citizen Protection Act of 2017. This will be taken place by one member of our group, Leah, who will be writing these to Oregon legislators, and I will be writing this to my state representative from the Mecklenburg County District in North Carolina. So the letters will include citizens' expectations of local representatives regarding the representation of elderly population. The letters will advocate for the promotion of the safety and quality of life for elders in our communities. I think this is a great component of the project that we are doing, that through the letter campaign and also through the flyers, that we're going to be able to do just make change within our own communities. Group members in my group were from East Coast to the West Coast, so it's really cool to see that we may be able to impart some change within our communities. So defining the research. We are talking about the institutional ageism, societal ageism, ageism in the workplace, and ageism in gender. So the research and contacts that we are going to be using will be the American Society on Aging, the ACLU, the National Association of Social Workers, the Governor's Commission on Senior Services, and the Oregon Disabilities Commission. So the description of contacts would be the Nazareth Independent Living Home in Louisville, Kentucky, Genesis Healthcare in Louisville, Kentucky, Representative Knute Buehler from the 54th District, who was also running for the Oregon Governor in 2018, Representative Robert Pittenger, the 9th District of North Carolina, and then Brookdale Ocean Shores. The 885 Senior Citizen Protection Act of 2017 is what Leah and myself are going to be addressing when we write these letters. And a quote from it is to direct the Attorney General to establish guidelines for a model elder abuse registry and to provide grants for states for establishing and operating such a registry and for other purposes. This was introduced in September 28, 2017 to the House and was referred to the House Committee on the Judiciary on the same day. The bill was introduced by Democratic Representative Bradley Scott Schneider of Illinois from the 10th District. The justification of contacts. Through grassroots advocacy, we tend to target populations that work directly with elderly individuals, especially those in vulnerable situations. Through contacting local representatives, we are notifying the representative that we are mindfully following policy that targets and promotes equality for aging populations. Through engaging with other professionals in the community, such as caretakers, social workers, mental health care providers, and government officials, this allows for networking and alliances to be formed in order to encourage the safety, equality, and quality of life for elderly individuals. We take this project very seriously and want to do our part to provide advocacy and awareness for the elderly people within our communities. And we just wanted to use this progress report as a way for us to check in with our peers and to get any feedback from you guys on what you think we could better do to effectively reach our target of advocating for the elderly in our society. And we also just wanted to update you and to share with what we've been learning and how we've progressed through this video progress report. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.